What's up, Magnetites? So, I am currently playing Soul Hackers 2. I wish I had that Thor high heels thing I could say. I'm currently playing Soul Hackers 2. But I don't, so. Anyway, no editing skills at all. So, what I would say right now, because this is going to be an opinion on the game so far, not that far in, so I can't say too much, but also, should you buy the DLC, and if you do, what DLC should you buy? Alright, so, first off, I had watched some reviews before I even started playing, just to get an idea of what, some other Mega 10 YouTubers were saying on this, and the criticisms, everything just kind of seems overwhelmingly mid. And I don't disagree yet, but I also don't fully agree. I think this is actually a little bit better than I expected after watching a lot of these reviews. I enjoy this soul system, and I'm very tired of the Persona social links thing. This is nothing like that. This is literally just a few dialogue trees and things like that make your bond stronger. So it's not like, you're not going out to dinner. I mean, I know there are events, and I just unlocked a lot of the opportunity to utilize some of that. But it isn't like the typical social link thing. It's very different. And it seems interesting to explore. The affinity type system they have here is interesting, a bit weird. Not as cut and dry as like a SMT type affinity system, but still fun. Outside of that, the gameplay, the most important part obviously, is interesting. People complain about the dungeons being very samey. But, I mean, if you've ever played SMT 1 or 2 or Apocalypse or 3 or, well, not so much 3, Strange Journey, these games have samey dungeons. They're dungeon crawlers, a lot of them. Not all, obviously. SMT 5 kind of almost like an open world dungeon crawler, but a bit different. But this is more in the main vein of the original, the Soul Hackers game as well, but also just the older SMT games. So I'm not really going to complain about that. I don't care that it looks a bit weird. However, I was going to complain about the camera angle for the main character with the way you're directly behind Ringo, but they patched that in to fix that, so now you can zoom out, and I would say that the camera's just fine. So, cannot complain about that. Would have complained about it if they hadn't patched that, but honestly, so far, that part's perfectly fine. I love the fast forward for certain portions of the cutscenes, so sometimes you got to go through the same cutscenes, which you could skip. Sometimes you just want to kind of speed through a little bit, and I like that. I like that you could speed through the parts where they're not talking and there's really no action going on. Maybe it's just atmosphere, and say you died and you have to repeat that cutscene, and maybe you missed something or you want to hear it again. You don't have to just skip it. You also don't have to watch it at slow speed. You can literally fast forward it. So I love that. I actually enjoy that. Anyway, back to gameplay and battle though. So we're talking about battles here. So it's not press turn, which in a way I would say is okay, because we've played so many SMT games now with press turn, and the all-out system is basically press turn, and the cell phone game is basically press turn. All these things are press turn. However, for me personally, because I've been going back and playing the PS1 version of SMT1, and I've been playing some older games that don't have press turn, it's kind of like I kind of miss it already. But that's not to say that what they did here isn't interesting. I kind of enjoy this Sabbath system, though it's a little. I'm very thankful that they put the skip animation in there, because I get a kick out of watching certain Sabbaths with certain demons and some of the way it looks. But after you've done it a few times, outside of the super all of them together type thing, if you only got one or two, it's just really a charge and just some battle damage. but doesn't give you like any great thing unless you're doing all 4, unless you've got a Sabbath of 4. So basically, and let me get into what that means. Every time you hit a weakness, you get a Sabbath attack, and they stack. So far, it only allows me to stack to 4. I think there are other things you can do to make it stack higher. However, with that said, when you have 4, it shows all of the demons that are currently equipped, kind of like an item to your characters. It allows them to basically do some sort of special attack where they combine their power, and it's an interesting take on the formula. I actually enjoy it, and fortunately you can skip the animation, which makes the battle obviously go a little quicker, especially if you have to constantly watch that over and over again. It can get a little boring. But I think the battle pace stays up to key. Some people complain that they felt that the enemy attacks were a little too slow, but I actually feel like they were pretty fleshed out, and it's just the right amount of time for the enemy to choose an attack. I don't know why they have to necessarily go enemy turn, like focus on which enemies are left. That seems like a little bit of a waste of time, because we obviously know whose turn it is. But I'm not gonna knock that too much. I mean, that is what it is. Overall, though, the game is just it's fun. Like, the gameplay has not gotten boring. I don't feel bored. I haven't tried to escape from any battles yet. I am playing it on hard so I can get a real challenge. But the game, I haven't died yet, but I also am not that far in. I just beat one of the first kind of sort of bosses. It is an interesting atmosphere, interesting environment, interesting demon negotiation. I wasn't feeling it at first, but it's growing on me. I'm enjoying the demon negotiation style a little bit. You don't negotiate with the talk option, which I don't like, because you also can't just leave specific battles that are either unnecessary or you don't feel like getting into with talking to a similar demon or anything like that. But it's interesting in that it's only one negotiation choice. If you say, so far, if you just do it, they say, sure, I'm on board. It's made negotiation easier. I don't know if that necessarily means better, though. But so far, so good. Nothing to complain about. Outside of that, the characters are actually interesting. You don't have a silent protagonist, which I don't think is that... I mean, it doesn't feel that bad because this game is so fleshed out. So it's not that big a deal. I prefer the silent protagonist, but I'll take it on this one that this is a good story, a pretty decent story. They put some time and effort into it. The voice acting's on par. I like the demon voices. Everything seems pretty good so far. So yeah, nothing to complain about. I mean, the game's interesting. I would say the story is interesting. The atmosphere is very alluring. I really thought I was going to be one of the stronger critics on this game, but I feel like people online actually so far have been more critical of it. I'm not the biggest fan of Soul Hackers 1 from when I replayed it. I get kind of bored. It feels like, in a way, the worst kind of version of the old SMT games with the whole loyalty system and everything. And the way that the attacks are, and in that I felt the animations were slow, and in that game I felt like there was just, I don't know, something missing. I'm not a huge Soul Hackers 1 fan. I love the story and certain elements of it. I just was never a big fan of it. This game has kept me a lot more entertained with the battle system than anything in Soul Hackers 1. So that being said, I have to say I'm interested in that stuff. I like what I'm seeing so far. I can't give you a full review, I guess, until I beat the game. But really, this is more about should you pick this up? And I would have to say with an overwhelming yes. I mean, if you're a Persona fan, it won't be too different. If you're an SMT fan, it's a spin-off for a reason. So I really can't knock this game in too many ways. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed myself. I do go back and forth between this and SMT1 because I was in the middle of playing that when this came out. But I do find myself gravitating toward this mostly because of the battle. That extra piece of something in a battle system in a turn-based RPG really elevates it to being extremely addicting. And, you know, the older SMT games just never had anything to add, like turn-based or the alignment co-op system or press turn or all-out attacks. I would say this is very similar to Strange Journey's Strange Journey's alignment co-op system, demon co-op system, battle system, and I like that because I always liked that in Strange Journey. I always thought that was a really cool, take and differentiating factor from the typical press turn. That being said, just to give my thoughts on the DLC. Obviously, I haven't played the story content DLC, but personally, that is the only DLC that I bought. The music options were not clear, and I may have gone for that because I do like the old school game musics from Soul Hackers 1, SMT 4, and things like that. But there really wasn't enough options with the BGMs. At least it wasn't displayed which ones I could get for me to do that. I do not care about costumes, so I'm not spending money on costumes. I also am not going to spend money on cheating items, or not cheating, but like items to make the game easier. I wasn't playing this just to get through the story. I'm playing this to have a fun challenge. So that's not for me, and I wouldn't recommend you guys do it. It's going to ruin the whole reason you play the game. At least I assume that's the reason you play the game, unless you're just solely a big fan of Atlas stories. And then, I don't know. Nothing in the DLC. I mean, I don't need to buy demons to cheat the game or to make the game easier or even just for the looks. I'm just not willing to do that. I'm not willing to do that. So I would say no on all DLC if you guys are getting this game, except for story DLC. You can't not buy story DLC. It extends the game. It makes it longer. Atlas, I don't know why they need to make that extra. I mean, I guess they got to make that extra $10, but it should have been included to begin with. But anyway, that being said, this game is great so far. It's not as good as like SMT 5. I wouldn't even say it's as good as Nocturne's re-release, but it is definitely fun. It has addictive qualities. Much better, in my opinion, than the original Devil Summoner Soul Hacker games. Honestly, I can't say don't pick this up. I give this game an 8. I think it's right on the cusp of being something special. If they do a Soul Hackers 3, I hope they just improve. But I'll give you my full review once I've beaten the game. But for the time being, I wanted you to have a little something just to be able to think about it. And I look forward to speaking with you guys once I've beaten it. Till then, like, comment, subscribe. And for now, my Magnetites, I'm out.